In today's video, I've got a really fun Stasis Titan build for you. Everyone has been obsessed with their fancy new Light 3.0 subclasses, but today's Stasis build is just as powerful as any of the Light subclasses. If you haven't seen the Igloo of Death, then you gotta check this out. When we pair the Behemoth Super with the Edge of Action Exotic Glaive, we can absolutely delete bosses with the incredible amount of shatter damage that we can do. You can pull this off on any boss that remains mostly stationary, and it's as easy as shooting the glaive bubble at their feet, popping your super, and going to Pound Town. The more Titans you add to the mayhem, the more insane the damage gets. But this build isn't just a one-trick pony. We'll be using our subclass and mods to have a basically permanent 50% damage increase on all of our stasis weapons, and we'll be shattering crystals left and right for massive ad clear and damage. On our subclass, we are going all in on stasis crystals. We will take Glacier Grenade, and our first aspect will be Howl of the Storm. This allows our grenade and melee to create stasis crystals constantly for us to shatter. Then we take Tectonic Harvest, which will spawn a stasis shard every time we shatter a stasis crystal. These shards grant us melee energy on pickup, but will do so much more when we add our armor mods in just a minute. The first fragment we have to take is Whisper of Fissures. This increases the damage and size of the shatter explosion whenever we break crystals or defeat frozen enemies. Next, we'll take Whisper of Shards. This reduces our grenade cooldown whenever we shatter a crystal, so now our crystals are feeding into both our grenade and melee cooldowns constantly. Third, we take Whisper of Conduction, which causes stasis shards to automatically float towards us and grants us some nice bonus stats. Finally, we take Whisper of Rending, which makes our kinetic weapons deal increased damage to stasis crystals and frozen targets. This allows our primary weapon to one-tap any crystal for shatter damage on demand. Now, the subclass is already insane, but our exotic armor and mods take it to a ridiculous level. We will use the Hoarfrost Z exotic chest piece. This replaces our barricade with a wall of stasis crystals. It still grants all the benefits of a rally barricade and allows us to place down cover when needed, but also gives us another source of shatter damage and stasis shards. Combined with our grenade and melee, we have a ridiculous amount of stasis crystals on tap at all times. Moving on to our mods, the first and most important mod is Elemental Shards. This allows our stasis shards to act as stasis elemental wells. This is what takes the build to the next level. We will pair that with Font of Might. This grants a 25% increase to all of our stasis weapon damage for 10 seconds whenever we pick up a stasis elemental well. Since our stasis shards now count as wells, we can quite literally have this buff going almost all the time thanks to all of the crystals that we produce. I like to pair this with the mod Elemental Time Dilation, which will increase the duration of Font of Might up to 13 seconds. Doesn't sound like a lot, but there is a cooldown on how often the shards can count as a well, and this helps to ensure uptime on Font of Might as much as possible. Next, we take Elemental Charge, which makes us charge with light whenever we pick up an elemental well, or in our case, a stasis shard. We will pair this with High Energy Fire, which grants us an additional 20% weapon damage while charged with light. This stacks with Font of Might, and it's multiplicative, giving us a 50% weapon damage increase that we can activate at basically any time. Create a crystal, one-tap it with our kinetic weapon, and boom, instant 50% damage buff. I like to use a kinetic primary with Headstone, such as Ias Luna or Syncopation. This creates more crystals through the Headstone perk and benefits from all of our damage buffs. You can also use Unstoppable Pulse with something like Syncopation if needed. For your heavy, for single target damage, you can't go wrong with Reed's Regret. This stasis linear fusion will again benefit from Font of Might and High Energy Fire for huge single target damage on bosses when we are not able to use our glaive and super combo for the Igloo of Death. Alternatively, you can always use a stasis machine gun like the Chain of Command and pair that with Overload Machine Gun, or a stasis rocket launcher like the Palmyra B with Explosive Light for huge damage as well. You can also make a tankier version of this build by swapping out Elemental Charge and High Energy Fire for Explosive Wellmaker and Well of Life. This allows us to create solar wells off of our shatter damage that will heal us when we pick them up. You can also then swap in Whisper of Rhyme to generate an overshield when we pick up stasis shards. It's up to you how you want to run it. I know light subclasses are all popping off right now, but do not sleep on stasis. It is still insanely strong, especially with all the new stasis weapons that we have. Feel free to use the dim loadout link in the description to set this up for yourself. And if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscription is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one.